BMW K1600B, First Ride. By Chris Cope. Uber bagger challenges genre but provides amazing ride. The BMW K1600B is, in an overall sense, one of the best bikes I've ever ridden. Maybe even the best bike. It's worth pointing that out from the get-go because a certain part of this review is going to seem like criticism. Whether it actually is criticism, though, really depends on your perspective. I personally struggle to fully understand who will end up buying this bike. But if a person can get past the mental hurdles I'm stumbling over, he or she will be left with a damned fine machine. The K1600B was introduced at Intermot last year as an outright, transparent attempt to capitalize on the North American fascination with baggers. Whereas Europe has gone loopy for BMW's R1200 GS platform, placing it in the continent's top sales slot for several years running, the boys and girls of Bayerische Motor and Werke have always struggled to offer a model that so fully captures the hearts and minds of American riders. Remember the R1200C? That was a stinker. Balloonish and detuned to offer considerably less power than other R1200 models of the time, it suggested BMW didn't quite get American customers. No such silliness this time round. The K1600B 1649cc inline-six produces a walloping 116 horsepower, 118 kilowatts, and 129 pounds-to-foot, 175 newton-meters, of torque. That's getting close to Buse numbers, son, while looking a hell of a lot cooler and providing an infinitely more comfortable ride. Engine and transmission. Press the starter, keyless ignition, and you bring to life the thing that makes the K1600B such a kick-ass bike, that engine. I'll admit to you that I had never before experienced the joy of an inline-six, and within just a few minutes on this BMW was fully converted. For those of you who remain uninitiated, the inline-six experience is similar to that of a triple, but you know, more. And more is good. Really good. You get strong pulling power and low revs and useful engine braking going into corners with turbine-like smoothness at highway, and above, speeds. Mix this with an intoxicating amount of power that's far in excess of anything you'll ever need, or possibly even be able to use, and it creates a feeling that will hit you again and again, ride after ride, in which you'll suddenly exclaim, "Damn it, I love this motorcycle." The layman might not guess how powerful the K1600B is, however, because its exhaust note is very much Euro 4 compliant. BMW says some Akrapovic pipes will be available as accessory items, which may help, but for the most part you'll have to resolve yourself to being the only one who really knows what kind of monster you're sitting on. The bike's ride-by-wire throttling is a little bit of an issue in trying to maintain steady low speeds. I noticed real problems when engine braking down a hill, just barely putting in throttle. The bike was jerky to the point of my wondering if the traction control was acting up. Things are fine once you give it a little more, so I guess the takeaway message is this bagger won't enjoy being part of those Daytona, Sturgis Main Street parades. You won't enjoy it either, because at crawling speeds the engine can get pretty hot. Possibly too hot. Though, I had a long conversation with a number of my fellow motojournos about whether the heat is an actual problem. It may be that my years of living in rainy, cold Britain have made me soft. I will let you know that among myself, Lemmy, Morgan Gales, I hope Bunn are paying him a lot because he writes for about half a dozen titles, and John Langston, I was the one bitching the most. Lemmy correctly points out that the K1600B is a damned motorcycle, and an inherent part of that experience is that you're sitting on top of a metal box of explosions. Of course it's going to be hot. Especially if you are riding through North Carolina in August. Handling, ride quality, and brakes. For all intents and purposes, the K1600B is just a K1600 GT that's been lowered a few inches, which means it is all kinds of sex through corners. Push hard and you'll touch down feelers hidden beneath the floorboards, at which point you'll want to straighten up immediately, because the next thing to touch are crash bars, but you really do have to push hard. Like, Hard enough that some guy waves a shotgun to get you to slow down. The South. You would never get to that point with any other bike this size, 336 kilograms / 740 pounds wet. It's just that this thing handles and hustles so much better than it has any right to. Weight is surprisingly well distributed. The only time you'll notice it is when trying to duck walk backward up a hill. But hey, guess what? BMW offers a reverse gear as an accessory. So, when onlookers describe the bike as big, you'll always think, no, not really. Meanwhile, the dynamic electronic suspension adjustment feature provides hours and hours of fun in allowing you to change setups relatively quickly. Not only can you adjust according to the number of people and things the bike is hauling, e.g., you and a passenger, you and luggage, etc., but according to the kind of ride you prefer. Ride Mode offers a suspension firmness familiar to sport tourer and adventure sport riders, whereas Cruise Mode delivers the cushy feel more common on touring cruisers. Brakes are of a quality one would expect from a bike made in a country where you can legally go 154 miles per hour on the motorway. That's the GT's top speed, apparently. One of the Mojos claimed to have hit 130 on the beat, but I'm sure he was fibbing because none of us would ever break the speed limit. The sudden appearance of a black bear on the Blue Ridge Parkway gave me an opportunity to learn the bike can be brought to a controlled stop very quickly. Comfort and features. The K1600B's stylish seat looks more comfortable than it actually is. It's not awful. During some extended ride time, more on that in a moment, I put 400 miles on the clock in one day without complaint, but it's not as good as I would expect from a high-end brand. Additionally, I have a less sensitive caster than many folks. Cycle World's Peter Jones spent a good amount of his time with the bike standing up to relieve the ache. Full disclosure, Peter had been in an accident a few weeks before that, so his discomfort may have been related to pre-existing conditions. Beyond that, however, the big, bad B is an all-day machine. The electronically adjustable screen won't completely block wind blast for taller riders but can be adjusted to ensure it hits the helmet with minimal noise impact. In warm weather, side panels can be pulled out to draw air to the rider's chest. In cooler weather, the state-sized fairing blocks out wind and rain and cold, while heated grips and a heated seat keep you toasty. On the move you can throw your feet up onto floorboards, a la highway pegs, which means you can move around a lot while eating up the miles. To keep you busy on the road, you could try getting to grips with all of the K1600B's electronic features. There are about 800 billion of them, all with extraneous words like dynamic and pro in their names. The features are controlled via the booster wheel on the left grip. Literally every feature that I can think of exists on this bike, so there's not much point in my listing them. If it exists on another bike, it almost certainly exists here. The same holds true for the amount of data available. This bike is so intelligent it's probably capable of performing some mathematical equation to work out the name of the first person you ever kissed.